and welcome to State of Events. I'm Michelle Gong.
And I'm Kasia Pieruk.
Our top story tonight, the Altamont Corridor Express train, or ACE train, will not be in service today. A car derailed last night in Alameda County after hitting a tree that fell on the tracks. Alameda County Sheriff's Department spokesman Sergeant J.D. Nelson says that the car derailed near Niles Canyon Road in a rural part of Alameda County and became partially submerged in water. The train was traveling from Silicon Valley to Stockton in Central California. 9 of the 14 passengers injured were sent to the hospital. No fatalities have been reported.
And speaking of service interruptions, BART begins a major construction between the San Leandro and Bayford stations. The construction works will shut down service between these stations, forcing BART riders to use a bus service. The commuters will be facing delays of up to an hour each weekend from late March to mid-June. BART will be replacing a half-mile of track and nearly 1,000 wood ties. The company spokesman, Jim Allison, said that these works are a part of the Building Better BART program, aiming for a safer and quieter operation.
In other transportation news, Sacramento County Superior Court Judge Michael Kenney has ruled that California's new plans for a high-speed rail system doesn't violate promises made to voters. Several landowners have argued that the state's protections on the project are unreliable. The $64 billion project was originally going to operate without a government subsidy and as a standalone system. The new plans also call for shorter track segments to begin operating 3 years later than originally planned. The new plans have yet to be approved by the California High-Speed Rail Authority.
Today we celebrate International Women's Day. In countries all over the world, women are fighting for their rights. Up next is our State of Events reporter, Maya Church, with more details on the issues American women are currently facing.
This uterus delivers rights!
Women's rights are challenged every day. March 8th is International Women's Day, and many women across the U.S. are taking to the streets and protesting for their civil rights. San Francisco's WORD organization, or Women Organized to Resist and Defend, rallied in the rain for reproductive rights.
We're here to raise our voice.
Here to raise our voice.
And fight to keep our choice.
And fight to keep our choice.
Last Wednesday, the Supreme Court began the hearing for Whole Women's Health versus Hellerstedt, the most important abortion rights case to be heard in decades. The justices are reviewing Texas Measure HB 2, which requires abortion clinics to have hospital-grade facilities and for its doctors to have admitting privileges at hospitals within 30 miles of their clinics. Texas officials claim these restrictions were put in place to safeguard women's health, but the law has forced over 75% of abortion clinics to close in the state.
There was no medical basis for the regulations. It's not just me saying it, it's the leading medical groups like the AMA and the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists.
Abortion clinics are rapidly closing in the South, and in some states, only one facility remains. Since the passing of Justice Scalia in February, women fear the 8 remaining justices will be split on the issue and the Texas law will be upheld. An even bigger fear is that other states will begin passing similar laws.
But yeah, it's just getting, it's hitting scary points. I was talking about HB2 just this last Friday at a forum, giving a speech on it. I was like, no, if it gets upheld, I was like, it's going to be terrifying for women in this country, as to what that means. And
the Supreme Court will announce their decision in June. The future of women and our reproductive rights rest in the hands of the next presidential candidate. Whether you are pro-choice or pro-life, women should evaluate if their rights are being properly protected by their future president. In San Francisco, I'm Maya Church, State of Events.
Health officials in Contra Costa County have confirmed 2 travel cases of the Zika virus. No details of the cases have been released except that one person went to South America, while the other went to Central America. This comes after reports of a pregnant woman from Napa who contracted the virus after traveling to Central America. Health officials say that the recent cases are not a threat to their respective counties because it isn't being actively transmitted. Officials, however, recommend that everyone take caution and avoid traveling to areas where the virus is found. When we come back, we'll tell you about a bill that the California Assembly just approved that might surprise you. Also, we will have an election and world update coming up after the break.
Before City Car Share, we were spending a lot of money on gas and insurance. I felt like I had to check my bank account every time I went driving.
City Car Share is great because the membership includes insurance and a gas card. I don't even know why we owned a car in the Bay Area.
Now we just have more money to spend on other things.
City Car Share is an important part of our lives.
City Car Share gives you the benefits of using a car
without the hassles of owning one.
Even common daily routines can make important changes. Changes like higher wages, better living, and justice. Sometimes it's just a matter of making the right choice. Fair trade certified coffees are bought directly from family farmers, guaranteeing them better incomes and strengthening their communities. Fair trade certified. Taste fairness. Look for the label wherever you buy coffee.
Welcome back to State of Events. California State Assembly approves a bill raising the smoking age to 21 and regulates e-cigarettes use for the first time. Smoking e-cigarettes will no longer be legal in restaurants, theaters, and other public places where traditional smoking is prohibited. Many Republicans say that taking away the right to decide from young people is unfair, especially since the state allows them to marry, vote, and sign contracts at the age of 18. Other lawmakers say that the health risks of tobacco are too high and that raising the smoking age will improve youth's health.
The Supreme Court has blocked enforcement of a Louisiana law that would have left the state with just one abortion clinic. The law requires doctors performing abortions to have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals. The order shows that a majority of the court won't allow conservative states to enforce stringent regulations. The 7-1 ruling came just 2 days after the court blocked HB 2, a similar law in Texas that relies on building codes to find clinics medically deficient. The order will keep the law on hold until the justices rule on HB 2.
Hillary Clinton's lead in pledged delegates is not stopping Sanders. Our political correspondent, Lindsay Regis, is in the studio to give us the latest updates of this epic election.
This weekend on Super Saturday, Bernie Sanders won 2 out of 3 Democratic contests. However, Hillary Clinton has a large lead in pledged delegates. A new poll gives her a double-digit lead over Sanders in Tuesday's Michigan primary, 57% to 40%. Sanders plans to keep his campaign going to the Democratic convention, even if Clinton has secured enough delegates to claim the nomination. It looks like Michael Bloomberg will no longer be a presidential candidate. Former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg wrote that he feared a campaign could lead to the election of Donald Trump or Senator Ted Cruz. The Hispanic community has the fastest growing demographic group in the country. The Hispanic electorate will reach a record high this year. More than 27 million people are eligible to vote. With immigration playing a central role in that campaign trials, this may spark the interest of the Hispanic community. Hispanics will account for roughly 18% voters in Florida, 17% voters in Nevada, and 14% voters in Colorado. The growth of the Latino youth population is critical to understanding the true potential of the Latino electorate. Big increases in the Hispanic electorate in several presidential swing states could help decide the election. That's your election update. I'm Lindsay Regis. Back to you.
Now, let's check in with Ace and take a look at the trending world updates.
The U.S. presidential race is not only drawing attention, it is being watched carefully across the globe. According to CNN, 10 journalists from Canada, South Africa, Great Britain, Venezuela, Israel, and Iran explains their opinions about the United States. These journalists told CNN that there will be an issue that can destroy the U.S. instantly if he wins the election. This dilemma could occur in trading goods, broken friendships between allies, and making bad decisions. NASA researchers explained that parts of the Middle East experienced the worst drought in 900 years. The drought is spreading towards several countries including Turkey, Cyprus, Lebanon, Gaza, Israel, Jordan, West Bank, and Syria. NASA researchers created a study to see weather patterns from tree rings to understand why the drought is occurring. They concluded that human-caused climate change played a role in the drought, which can threaten economic growth, national security, and forcing people out of the country. In the next 25 years, some countries in North Africa and the Middle East are at great risk for instability and state failure from this natural disaster. Iranian migrants sewn their lips shut with fish wire to protest against the demolition of jungle camp in Calais, Paris. These migrants begging and praying for the United Nations to send a representative to observe the living conditions in these camps. However, French authorities have other plans and started bulldozing empty shelters, many migrants forced to live shipping containers in a fenced-off compound with terrible health conditions. This is it for today's World Update. I'm Ace Prado, back to you in the studio.
Coming up, what do airports have in common with students at UC Santa Cruz? Find out after the break.
Boy, I'm tired. I cannot believe what I've been through today.
When I went to the prenatal clinic, it was raining. I had to walk a long way. People were rude to me. The buses were late. It was really hard getting to the prenatal clinic today.
But it's okay. I've been doing this for me and my baby.
Free or low-cost prenatal care is available for you. Call 1-800-300-9950.
Small businesses are facing expensive energy bills. Much of this expense is generated from lighting. In fact, inefficient lighting can cost small business owners more than they may realize. Don't let your lights burn more than electricity. Let smart lights help you save money, and let the money work for you, not your energy bills. Smart Lights, brighten your bottom line. A joint program of the cities of Berkeley and Oakland.
Welcome back to State of Events. Oakland has launched a citywide effort to triple the number of college graduates coming out of public schools. The Oakland Promise initiative aims to reverse cycles of poverty by providing students in need with financial assistance to continue their education. In the next 10 years, Oakland Promise plans to open 55,000 college savings accounts for children born into poverty and also grant more than $100 million in scholarships to low-income students.
San Francisco supervisors are putting affordable housing measures on the June ballot. They were going to have 3 measures on the ballot, and now only 1 remains. The measure still holding requires developers to sell and rent 25% of units at below market rate. Mayor Ed Lee withdrew his ballot measure, which stated that the city controller and planning department would determine the minimum percentage of affordable units. Another measure that was withdrawn would have made the 25% requirement permanent.
Apple confirms its plans to open a new office in San Francisco. The facility, located south of Market Street, will provide a working space for up to 500 employees. Many say it is not that much space considering Apple's 25,000 employee workforce. According to recruiters and former workers of Apple, the decision to build an office outside of Silicon Valley is a sign of an intensifying war for tech talent. The facility is expected to open this summer.
Uber, the on-demand ride service, is set to open 2 new Bay Area offices by 2017. It has paid $123.5 million for Oakland's historic Sears building. Its new Oakland headquarters will reportedly house 5 times the number of employees direct competitor Lyft has. Uber has also started $130 million in construction on a bigger office in San Francisco's Mission Bay district. Uber's costly construction comes at a less than optimal time as investors worry that highly valued startups may not grow into their valuation.
Drug smuggling activity continues at Bay Area airports. After multiple arrests made last year at San Francisco International Airport, more arrests were made at Oakland Airport. According to authorities, these illegal activities at both airports are not related. The smugglers at San Francisco airport were employees working for a third-party company which hires people as checkpoint screeners. At Oakland, it was a baggage handler who used his security credentials to smuggle drugs on domestic flights. He was just sentenced to 9 years in prison for the crime.
Police have arrested 6 21-year-old UC Santa Cruz students for allegedly running a drug ring that had about $100,000 worth of MDMA. The Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service learned that multiple packages containing the psychoactive drug were being sent through the mail over the past few weeks to 3 Santa Cruz addresses. Police say that investigators were able to prevent a second shipment from arriving to the group. The drug, more commonly known as ecstasy or Molly, is often taken recreationally at EDM festivals called raves.
It's been a very busy week for sports in the Bay Area. Lots of exciting games and plenty of records broken. Jerry will have all the details right after the break.
On sale at bookstores and newsstands near you.
Experience Theater Bay Area Magazine.
At first I was a bit hesitant to try it.
To tell you the truth, I didn't think I'd fit in. But I kept pushing her and she ended up loving it.
I was surprised. It was an amazing experience.
And now we do it at least twice a month.
I've even gotten most of my friends to do it.
If you do it enough, you can get a great deal on the price.
Why didn't we think of this before?
It's a stimulating experience.
The Z-Space Studio.
Word for word.
Z-Space Studio, word for word, stimulation guaranteed. See you at the theater.
Welcome back to State of Events. What a weekend it was in the sports world. You can't watch everything, but Jerry Burgos sure can. Here's sports.
As the Golden State Warriors continue to chase the 95-96 Chicago Bulls record of 72-10, they keep breaking records of themselves along the way. This time, it was the most consecutive home wins in the NBA history. 45, the Warriors taking on the Orlando Magic at Oracle Arena. Steph Curry getting hot early with the three, now for the historic three, putting the defender on skates and bangs in his 300 three-pointer of the season, a new NBA record. Some turnovers late in the game put Orlando Magic close to tying the game. With less than a minute remaining, Klay Thompson from behind the arc. 3 later, the Warriors would go on to win 119-113. Curry would finish with 41 points. On to MLS soccer now, season opener San Jose versus Colorado. Bingham making the save early to keep things even at 0. 45 seconds into the second half, new signing Alberto Quintero with the floating ball to who else? Chris Wondolowski, who heads it home later in the half. Tommy Thompson free on goal, but the goalie with the save. 2 minutes later, David Bingham again with the acrobatic save to keep his team ahead. The Quakes would go on to win 1-0. UFC 196, Conor McGregor moving up weight division to take Diaz in the last-minute fight. The Irishman made some damage with his jab early, but the Stockton man simply too powerful. 4 minutes and 12 seconds of the second round, Diaz put McGregor in a deadly headlock, forcing McGregor to tap out. In the co-headliner, Holly Holm, who had previously defeated Ronda Rousey, took on Miesha Tate. Tate left Holm unconscious with a headlock of her own. We changed gears a bit. Tennis superstar Maria Sharapova announced in a press conference she had tested positive for meldonium. Sharapova has been taking the substance that only became illegal this year since 2006. Sharapova will remain suspended until the investigation ends. Sharapova has already lost endorsements from Nike, Tag Heuer, and Porsche. Now, time for our play of the week. We go to La Liga in Spain. Real Madrid versus Celta de Vigo. Cristiano Ronaldo turning in and firing an absolute missile from 35 yards out, earning this week's play of the week. So that does it for sports. we add on to a bigger issue that has been catching some momentum lately. Do college athletes deserve money? Our Anton Lutel gives you his opinion.
So the other day I'm listening to NPR, and they're having a discussion about college sports, specifically the NCAA, and how they are robbing athletes, mainly football and basketball players, from their cut of the pie. What am I talking about? I'm talking about money. The NCAA rakes in between $900 to $1 billion each year off college sports. Coaches make millions, up to $10 million a year. ADs make multi-millions. Everyone but the actual people who fans want to see are making money. The NCAA won't even allow players to make money off their own name, not through their jerseys being sold, their autographs, or anything. Yet, they say they are giving student athletes a free education. Okay, but they make it nearly impossible to get a degree in what you want. Say a Division I football player wants to major in chemistry, yet he has practice every day starting around 2. After practice is the trainer. You have to study the playbook on top of that, games on Saturdays. When is there time for school? You're almost forced to major in ballet or something. Did you know there's only a 50% graduation rate for Division I football and basketball athletes? And only about 5% go on to pro careers. So what happens to everyone? Either a bad or no degree, no internships, no guidance, and no money for the 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears they put into a program. I'm not saying make these kids millionaires, but they deserve a cut. Mainly, my issue lies is where they need to have control over their own name. An institution owns your name and any money people want to give you for it. Now think about that. That's BS.
The luck of the Irish is upon us. With St. Patrick's Day on the horizon, State of Events reporter Michael Overby took a trip to the San Francisco City Hall to capture the city's honoring its thousands of Irish residents.
Thanks, ladies. I'm currently standing outside of City Hall where Mayor Ed Lee just kicked off the first St. Patrick's Day ceremony of the year.
With nearly 100 people in attendance, the city of San Francisco honored the work and commitment of Irish societies for their hand in making San Francisco a better city for all. The Irish flag will be hung outside of City Hall for over a month in honor of this commemoration. Irish pride was rampant at the event, with many people wanting to express the love for their culture.
I am proud of my culture. My mother and father were immigrants from Ireland. They came out here in the 1930s. I was born here. My wife is from Ireland, and I've studied Irish history and Irish music, and I'm very much into my culture.
Many of San Francisco's political heads were also in attendance, including the mayor, several city supervisors, and the chiefs of San Francisco's fire and police departments. Many awards were given out, and Mayor Lee had some heartfelt words of what the Irish community means to San Francisco.
From building our city, to celebrating the culture, to having wonderful talent of people to help me run it, from our public safety to our elected officials, I am so proud of our Irish American history.
Shortly after, dances were held, and the crowd geared up for the numerous Irish events planned for this coming month.
As we say every year, for the next couple of weeks, we'd like you to celebrate being Irish with us. So come out, wear the green, and tell us you're Irish.
So make sure to clear up your schedules for next Saturday's St. Patrick's Day parade. With dozens of floats, hundreds of vendors, and thousands of people, you won't want to miss it. Here at City Hall, this is Michael Overby, State of Events.
Thank you for watching State of Events. I'm Kasia Piero.
And I'm Michelle Gong. Stay dry, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.